Yeah, Tel Aviv is under ballistic missile fire right now.
The US has been taking heavy losses in the war in West Asia. It has lost 13 soldiers.
Dramatic new video shows Iranian forces seizing 2 cargo ships.
2:14 a.m. local time. The Strait of Hormuz. At 50,000 feet, the Spirit of Mississippi, a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, glides through the atmosphere. It is a billion-dollar flying wing, invisible to traditional radar, carrying enough firepower to level a small city. Its mission is a routine presence flight, a silent reminder of American reach. Inside the cockpit, the atmosphere is eerie. The only sound is the low, steady hum of the 4 General Electric F-118 engines. The 2 pilots sit in a bath of dim green light from their multifunction displays. They are ghosts in the machine, confident in their invisibility. But 40,000 feet below, on the choppy waters of the strait, the shadows are moving. A U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the USS Mason, cuts through the waves. Inside its Combat Information Center, CIC, the brain of the ship, the air is cold and smells of ozone. Sailors in blue coveralls stare at glowing blue and amber screens. This ship is equipped with the Aegis Combat System, a supercomputer that can track over 100 targets at once, from sea-skimming missiles to satellites in space. Contact. Multiple fast movers launching from Bandar Abbas, a radar technician calls out. His voice is calm but sharp. 2 Iranian F-4 Phantoms, aging but lethal twin-engine fighter jets, have just screamed off a desert runway. They aren't flying a normal intercept. They are hugging the coastline, using the rugged mountains of Iran to mask their radar signature. They're burning hard, sir. Mach 1.2 and climbing, the technician reports. The Phantoms are hot-dogging, flying aggressively toward the projected path of the B-2. But something is wrong. The Aegis system picks up a swarm of smaller signals. Multiple low RCS targets appearing. Drones. They're dumping decoys, sir. This is the strategic twist. The Iranians aren't just sending fighters. They are flooding the air with suicide drones and electronic noise. It is a digital smokescreen designed to confuse the USS Mason and force the B-2 to turn on its own radar, which would give away its exact position. It is a classic distraction versus real threat maneuver. The drones are the bait. The F-4s are the teeth. Comment carrier below if you believe the US Navy should keep a permanent strike group in the Persian Gulf, or exit if you think the risk is getting too high. The B-2 pilots see the warning lights on their electronic warfare suite. The Phantoms are now only 30 miles out, well within the range of their air-to-air missiles. The B-2 is a stealth marvel, but it is not a dogfighter. It is a sniper, not a brawler. Mason, this is Reaper 0-1. The B-2 mission commander transmits over secure link. We have multiple bandits closing. Requesting overwatch. On the USS Mason, the captain doesn't blink. Engage the Aegis Auto Specialist. Slave the CIWS cannons to the drone swarm and prep the SM-2 missiles. The CIWS, Close-In Weapon System, is a ship's last line of defense, a massive, computer-controlled Gatling gun that can fire 4,500 rounds per minute. It looks like a giant R2-D2 with a bad attitude. As the Iranian drones veer toward the ship, the CIWS begins its buzzsaw roar, shredding the plastic and metal decoys into confetti. But the real threat, the 2 Phantoms, are now locking their fire control radars onto the B-2's last known vector. They are painting the sky, desperately trying to find the black silhouette in the dark. Target lock detected, the B-2 co-pilot shouts. The Iranian pilots, sensing victory, arm their missiles. But they forgot one thing. The USS Mason isn't just a ship. It is a node in a massive, interconnected web of fire. Mason is taking the shot, the tactical officer says. In a thunderous burst of flame, 2 SM-2 interceptor missiles scream out of the ship's vertical launch cells. These missiles are designed to fly at 3 times the speed of sound, guided by the ship's massive SPY-1 radar. They don't need the B-2 to do anything. They are being guided by the shield of the fleet. The Iranian F-4 pilots see the plume of the missiles from the surface. Their cockpits erupt in screaming launch warnings. The hunters have suddenly become the hunted. They break formation, pulling high G-turns and dumping flares, but the SM-2s are relentless. The lead Phantom pilot pulls a desperate maneuver, diving toward the sea, but the Aegis system is too fast. The missile detonates just yards from his engine. A massive fireball lights up the midnight sky over the Hormuz. The second Phantom, seeing his wingman disintegrated, slams his throttles forward and flees back toward the Iranian coast, his mission a total failure. The Spirit of Mississippi never even changed course. The B-2 continues its silent glide, its black skin soaking up the moonlight, invisible and untouched. Below, the USS Mason resumes its steady patrol, The glow of its aegis screens the only light in the heart of the ship. The message was sent, loud and clear. You can't hit what you can't see, and you can't survive what the US Navy protects. The path of the fleet remains clear. The dominance of the skies remains absolute. And the world moves on, never knowing how close it came to the brink. If you want to see the classified specs of the B-2's next-generation successor, the B-21 Raider, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The shadow war is just beginning. The Iranian High Command is in a state of frantic damage control. In the bunkers of Bandar Abbas, radar operators are staring at static, unable to explain how their invisible drone swarm was swatted from the sky like flies. This wasn't just a tactical failure, it was a technological humiliation. 2:45 hours local time. Intelligence assessment, post-engagement analysis. The wreckage of the F-4 Phantom is now sinking to the bottom of the Persian Gulf, a tomb of twisted aluminum sitting in 200 feet of water. But while the physical threat has ended, the electronic battle is just heating up. High above the chaos, the B-2 Spirit of Mississippi has reached its point of no return. The pilots receive a burst of encrypted data from UCENTCOM. The mission has shifted from a presence flight to a Tier 1 surveillance sweep. The B-2 sensors are now sucking up every radio frequency, every radar pulse, and every panic cell phone transmission from the Iranian coast. This is called ELINT, or electronic intelligence. While the world thinks the B-2 is just for dropping bombs, its most powerful weapon is often its ability to listen without being heard. On the deck of the USS Mason, the crew isn't celebrating. They are reloading. The 41 Malawian Quachars Vertical Launch System, VLS, the honeycomb of missile tubes on the ship's deck still has dozens of interceptors ready to fly. The ship's sonar technicians are now pinging the depths, looking for the Kilo-class diesel-electric submarines that Iran often hides in the shallow, noisy waters of the strait. Sonar, bridge. Give me a sweep on the 180 bearing. I want to know if that Phantom had a friend under the waves, the captain orders. This is the hidden layer of the ambush. In modern naval warfare, an airstrike is rarely a solo act. It's often a flushing maneuver meant to force a destroyer like the Mason to move into a specific kill zone where a submarine is waiting with wake-homing torpedoes. The tension in the CIC is thick enough to cut with a knife. The green sweeps of the sonar screens show nothing but the shifting sands of the seafloor until a faint, rhythmic thump-thump echoes through the speakers. Transient. Possible propeller cavitation. Bearing 175. The captain's eyes narrow. The distraction wasn't just the drones. The F-4 Phantoms were the bait to keep the Aegis radar looking up, while the real threat was creeping under the hull. Comment depth if you think the submarine is the most dangerous weapon in the ocean, or SKY if you think air power always wins. Mason isn't alone, however. Floating 50 miles away is a P-8 Poseidon, a modified Boeing 737 packed with sensors designed specifically to hunt submarines. It drops a pattern of sonobuoys underwater microphones into the water. The B-2 Spirit, now circling back, acts as a high-altitude relay station. It takes the data from the P-8 and the Mason, crunches it through its onboard processors, and beams a perfect 3D map of the underwater battlefield back to the fleet. The Iranian submarine commander realizes the game is up. He's been pinged, the naval equivalent of having a flashlight shone in your eyes in a dark room. He knows that at any second, an RUM-139V Al-Azraq, an anti-submarine rocket, could drop from the sky and end his mission permanently. He chooses survival. The submarine dives deep, turning its nose back toward the safety of the Iranian territorial waters. The B-2 pilots look out their cockpit windows. The sun is beginning to peek over the horizon, turning the Persian Gulf into a sheet of hammered gold. They have been airborne for 14 hours, a long journey from their home base, but their job is done. The USS Mason stands its ground. The Aegis system stays hot. The Phantoms are gone, the drones are scrap, and the submarine is hiding. This is the reality of the shadow news. No headlines. No parades. Just 2 pilots in a black wing and 300 sailors on a tin can, holding the line so the rest of the world can wake up in peace. The path of the fleet remains unchallenged. Tactical dominance isn't just about firing missiles. It's about making the enemy realize that firing theirs is a death sentence. The mission is complete. The ghosts return to the shadows. Should the US have retaliated against the base that launched the F-4s, or was the defensive dominance display enough to keep the peace? This concludes the declassified report on the Hormuz ambush. Stay vigilant.